Вітання, сябри. I'm Anton Nemtsev, and surprise, I'm a front-end developer for like 19 years. At the moment, I work at Amsterdam and company Werkspot as a front-end developer, and today we will talk about performance. Do you think that these 3 steps that you heard about before is enough? Hell it is. Let's state the problem. You may create best performing app ever. And in half a year with a couple of features, you will have slowest app ever because, well, performance degradate. So what should we do? Our goal, prevent performance degradation. And to prevent it, we just need to measure it and visualize. It's a first step. We would not talk about metrics you may use in your project. You may select any of them that's highly dependent on context. But let's talk about how we should select our goals. For example, at Template Monster or Werkspot, I may analyze our competitors, create a list of corresponding pages, measure performance of my competitors, and then, well, use them. Because if you are followed by the bear, you don't need to be Olympian champion in running. You just need to be a little bit faster than the other guy. So let's take metrics that we got from competitors and add 20%. It's a magical number that essentially means that people can see the difference by their bare eye. Or you may compete it with yourself. Just take your current metrics and try to overdo them. Or you may, for example, create budget with some fancy tooling by knowing how fast you want to be. Load something in 1 or 2 seconds, that would be enough. I actually already published my presentation in Twitter, so you can have all the links from it. And actually, I would skip most of the slide because time is limited. We will talk about 2 types of measurements. One, synthetic laboratory measurements, and real user measurements. Well, synthetic one is essentially just run Lighthouse on your project, see the results, and that's it. But we want automatize stuff, so let's put it into continuous integration system. And as an easy pick, let's start from bundle size. Size limit. This is small library that allow you to see bundle size for your libraries. Install it. To package JSON, add a small config that essentially give a path to the file you want to measure. Add a script that allow run the package. Run it, and voila, you see the size. Now, add a little bit set limit in the config, and now, well, you may measure it against this config and even stop the pipeline if you overdo it. You don't need to keep library with the same size. When you add features, it will grow. It's unavoidable. But at least this allows you to understand that you make it bigger. Now, let's put it in the pipeline. And to make it even more fancy, let's add some voodoo magic of GitLab artifacts. So, let's create a script which will run this package and add an artifact of type reports. To make it work, let's change our script So size limit now don't output stuff in the console, but generate the report in the JSON format. And with post prefix, we automatically will run another script that will generate an artifact. That's the format of output of Andrei Sitnik's library. It's contained from the file name, do it pass the test or fail it, and current size in the bytes. Another script that will generate an artifact will read this report and just change the format. Format is quite easy. Name of the metric, space, value. It's a Prometheus text-based format, nothing fancy. And now you will see a small block in your merge request that will show you how stuff changed. GitLab don't understand what your values actually are. They just a string, so you will see name of the metric, current state, and previous state in the brackets. But who write libraries these days? We all write SPA. And perhaps use Webpack, because what else? Rollup? Huh. And Webpack is actually giving you a tooling to create performance budgeting from the box. You may set the limit sizes and hints as warning or error, and you will see either nice proposition to improve something, either, well, you may stop the pipeline to dig into it. And also, if you pass profile and JSON's case to the Webpack, you will have a nice report that will include all data you ever need. But hell, who actually nowadays write SPA from ground? Now we use what? Right, the Next.js. And if we are using Next.js, then perhaps let's install a plugin, Next Bundle Analyzer. You also have it for the Webpack, but anyway, we added as a decorator in the Next config.js, set analyzer bundle to true, set analyzer mode disabled and stat file name to get a JSON report instead of immediate information, and its stat options. Please set what you actually need in this report, because otherwise you will have a 60 megabyte JSON file, and it's just plain too much. Afterward, this same metric file, you will have something like this. For example, change in your chunk sizes. We are using it in the Werkspot, and it's quite nice. But what about GitHub and Travis? Well, to achieve the same result, we may use GitHub checks API and GitHub statuses. But, well, we need to write the code. It's GitHub, it's complex, so let's just use a plugin. We may install bundle size that, by the way, have a grant from Google. Then we add it to the config file. Nothing fancy. Once again, we have a path with some mask and maximum size for the chunks in this case. Add a script, run it, and here we are. It also may stop the pipeline, yes. To add it in the CI, we build stuff, and in script part, we run it. That's essentially it. But where the magic happens? If you will open this particular link and give access to all your repos, then you will have a secret token. If you will add it to the Travis environment by this command, or for example by UI, then in your merge request appear bundle size in checks. And you will see how the stuff changed. If you click the detail, you will see information about each one of the files. And that's how it fails. Also, check the code checks, because aside from bundle size, soon they will have Lighthouse, for example, from the box. Or just use Lighthouse bot. It's also available. But if we're talking about Lighthouse, let's check the site speed. This fine set of tooling, open source, nice, and allow you to do essentially everything. Also, GitLab feature this stuff, and you may read about it in documentation. You may integrate it easily. Just add stage for performance check, Docker service, and run this readable and completely simple script. At first, you install a GitLab plugin for site I/O, and then with Docker, you run site speed for each one of your ULs. In the example, it's just one production UL, but in reality, it's a huge set of ULs you need to check. And, well, the ULs are on staging. Afterward, you will get performance JSON that you may use as another type of artifact, performance artifact. Format of artifact is this. In the subject, you may set a route or any name you want, and metrics. Metrics is array of objects. Each one of them have name of the metric, value, and desired size, which may be smaller or larger. Then you will have this block. And it's quite nice, but who needs open source, nice, community-driven tool when we have a Lighthouse written by corporate monsters who want to collect our information? Let's use Puppeteer and Lighthouse. Install it, and in your script, launch Puppeteer in headless mode, then pass to Lighthouse config port on which you run Puppeteer, write to audit config what do you want to get, something specific, or maybe just plain all data you need, and then, well, run a Lighthouse against each one of your URLs. Once again, in the example is just production one, but you should run it about all your URLs in staging. And the results will be compared in artifact results that currently in master branch. Then you may use data you will get from Lighthouse to, for example, stop the pipeline if your speed index is too low. This 0.75 number is not something magical or, well, essential. It's a number that you get by, well, checking your competitors or checking yourself. Also, you may get standard performance scores that you see in the Lighthouse reports. Then you should generate a report by yourself this time and write it. That's all. In the pipeline, add performance stage. Whoa, that's intense. And then run a small script that will install a couple of packages for Puppeteer and our scripts. We're done, but one catch. That's essentially the least of the packages you need. And you better take a photo, because otherwise you will spend a couple of days digging what do you need to run Puppeteer. Presentation is published in the Twitter. Don't believe me. Artifacts. Well, nothing new here. And now we will have this matrix in the merge request. Check the example. And you may check all standard ones. Then it will look like this. And yes, we're using it in the Werkspot, and it works nicely. If you have some pages under the authorization, you may just use Puppeteer as any WebDriver, Selenium, or other stuff to open page with login form and authorize yourself. Afterward, you may check all pages that under authorization, and it will work. I write a script that goes through the list of the roads, and you may check it in this gist. Aside from it, you will see the generated performance artifact and example of Lighthouse full report. Check the Lighthouse data and check the Puppeteer, because it's an iceberg. So much information there. What the heck? Are you joking? What's going on? Sorry. And now let's move to the room, real user management. And we will start with service timing. It's a great tool to debug stuff in production. Yes, sometimes you actually need this. If you need to know some timings from your node server, or, well, other server, or, for example, need to understand what's happened, what logic works, you may use server timing and just see the result in the browser, in the timing tab, or, well, access with JavaScript. Server timing is just plain HTTP header with name of metric, description, and duration in milliseconds. But you may just pass a name. In Chrome 60, where it appears, and to 64, you have a little bit different format, like always, but not much changes there. And it looks like this. In the network timing, you see that something hit the cache. This is how it looks in the Safari. At the moment, Firefox totally supports everything, but it just don't show this information in the tab. But a year ago, I think I have created a bug, and a couple of weeks ago, they actually assigned intern to add this stuff. So hopefully, before New Year, we maybe will see same picture in the Firefox. Let's take an example. This is simplest possible Express server. With response object, we just send the header, and voila, there it is. But duration, how we actually measure time between 2 points in our code with high resolution timing. It will return array of 2 integers with seconds and nanoseconds. To measure a duration, you may pass first value as an argument to the high resolution timing, and then you will have only difference. To get a milliseconds, you multiply seconds by 1,000 and subtract nanoseconds by million. Easy peasy. No? Then, behold, now we have a big int, and it's supported from node 10. You may just do mathematical operation without all this array stuff. Easy. Nice. Check the big int. It's next big thing. Also, who actually send header by themselves nowadays? I have created a library for you that allow work with server timing headers. Install it, take our simplest possible Express server and add my package as a middleware. Then, in the requests, you will have server timing object that allow you measure time between 2 points, or just add a header. But you don't need to add stuff that you don't need. You may just use it as a beacon. For example, this will tell that something taken from the cache, not loading from other server. And yes, you may access this stuff from the JavaScript, but, well, not in Firefox, or not in Safari yet, and in Firefox, you will need HTTPS. It will look like this. If you have different origin, timing allow origin needed. At our company, we use this package to measure time that, well, GraphQL requests take. Who use GraphQL and Apollo links? Who know what links are? Nobody? Oh, 5 people. Nice, but I definitely should explain it. Apollo link is a function that runs on both way of request from client to server and from server to client. So, first we measure start timing, and in forward we measure end timing. And yay, we have information about all GraphQL requests that was made on the server side. It's kind of nice and allow us to debug. First, do we have 2 long and heavy requests, and maybe change them? And if, for example, we have our reports from the backend and on client, we see that requests take much longer, then perhaps we have a latency problem and we still need to dig it. It's useful. And it's supported like everywhere. Even in IE, we will have support soon. Well, not because IE is so good and fancy, but, well, they switched to Chromium. Deal with it. We now have Edge on the macOS. Read about it. And now let's switch to the client APIs that allow you to work with performance. You mostly have 2 objects, performance that allow you to get current state, and performance observer that allow you to observe the problems that may appear while your application is working. Well, that's how it looks like. Just check it by yourself. Type performance in console. There are multiple types of measures that performance allow you to get. Marks, measures, navigation. We will go through, well, 9 of them. If you want to know which one is actually supported, support entry types allow you to get an array. And see, still don't work in Safari, but anyway. Chrome actually go wild and implement 10 of them. And some of them not even a draft of specification. It's incubator document. You may get entries by type, by name, and just all of them. And with observer, you pass some handler functions that allow you to, well, for example, send reports to the server and observe with entry types that contain an array, which will consist of these types. High resolution timing. How to measure stuff on a client. With performance now, you will get a time that passed from time origin. And time origin is essentially request to your page. Just subtract time between 2 points, and you're done. User timing. Who actually need to store this stuff? You may use marks to put mark and some place, for example, before and after request. And then you may get them by type mark. Voila, now you see time when it starts and when it ends. But do we want to subtract that ourselves? Nope, we may use measure. Create a measure named task1 and then pass 2 marks. You will get a duration by the type measure, yes. To clean stuff out, you may use clean measures. And if you just create a measure with name but without marks, you will get time from time origin. Get it? And, well, this measure was taken 15 seconds after page started to load. Read about it. And yes, it's supported like everywhere. Navigation timing allows you to get information about timings of loading of your page. Check this stuff out, it's quite useful. Resource timing, the same information, but about resources that your page load while it works. So you get all the files. If you summarize sizes of these files, you will have a full traffic of your user, and it's good metric. Even amount of requests will be useful. Paint. When we talk about performance, usually we mean user, well, how users see it. Paint allows you to get first find and first contentful find. And this is time that your user sees the blank screen. That's a great measure to use. Because after 3 seconds, user usually leave. Long tasks. Well, when you run one single function, browser cannot optimize it, cannot parallelize the stuff. And if one single function takes more than 50 milliseconds to run, it may actually freeze the browser for a moment. This is long tasks. And you should totally check them. If you see the long task reported, maybe the stack trace would not be that useful, but even if you know that you have long tasks, it's a reason to dig deeper and find why do you have them. It's a problem. You may see something like that. About stack traces, I actually go to the GitHub repo and ask maintainers how we actually need to find long tasks. They say, well, we're trying to figure out this by ourselves also. Sorry, don't know. And we don't much long tasks anymore that much. So we try to create a new JS profiling API specification that will give you all the information you need to debug this stuff. But, well, it's in incubator yet, and you cannot even try this. Sorry. Layout instability API. You all face the situation when, for example, you open Twitter, want to like tweet, and it's moved down because something new loaded, and you like another tweet. And imagine if that was, for example, button of deletion of the post. Long layout shift is the specification that allow you find such problems. So track it, and if you have layout shifts, fix them. Read about it. And these two beautiful guys is, well, they cover last 10 minutes of my talk in normal 4-hour presentation. Check this out. Frame timing. It allows you to check an FPS. If your user scroll a page and it starts to lag, well, perhaps he will leave. You should know about this and fix this. Battery status API. Also, check this. Because, well, if your project often used with low battery or battery consuming, you should consider to add auto-saving. Network information API. You may check the speed on which your user connect to a project. And that's actually saying a lot about how slow your project are for the users. Beacon. You need to report everything on the server. And Beacon is a great tool because it reports stuff. Don't waiting until server will answer anything. And it will never postpone any loading of resources from the browser. Yes, the request sent not immediately, it may be postponed, but browser guarantees that your data will be sent before the window will be closed. Let's create something. Express server, multer, because Beacon actually sent data as multi-part only. And, well, report endpoint. It immediately responds with 204 status that say, oh, browser, you may close the connection, everything fine, but I would not respond to you with the body. And some script that actually create form data, add some object inside, and send a beacon. You will see this in the console. It works, and ask me afterward, I will tell you how we use it. Beacon is awesome. Check this out. And it's supported like everywhere. We support EE11, but polyfill helps. Check out the specs, and even incubator ones. And also, if you want to work in a company where all this possible, poke me. We're looking for the tech manager. Well, this is link to the speak, and I will be happy to answer to any questions you have.
Okay, Anton, now please come to our chairs. Sit down, and we will ask you some questions.
So soft, so comfy.
Yeah. Okay, so Maria, do you have some good question?
Yeah. If I have good enough performance in one browser, does that mean I shouldn't care about other browsers' performance?
Definitely you should. Well, check your user shares and see which browser are important to you. But even if it's 1% of your users, remember that it's not a 1%. It's users, alive users. You should care. And they will bring you money, like a lot of them.
How to measure performance in Opera Mini?
Our classical...
Opera Mini? What is it?
It's browser.
Okay,
I don't believe you.
You speak about a lot of tools, but how to write product features if you all time spent on always measuring and configuring these tools?
Well, actually, it's not much of a work to implement this from the start. Also, if you don't have time to write all this tooling, hire me. I will write them for you.
Okay, and no. Question about threads will be later. Okay, and when do you store metrics received from client side, and where do you analyze them?
Well, I visualize it with Kohana, I think, and use Prometheus to store them at the moment. Why I choose those? Well, I have them in my infrastructure because backenders use them, and I just, well, use them also. But in the template monster, I use Gecko to visualize data and, well, store it. It has nice API and dashboard.
Okay.
And I think last question, there is so many questions about your hair. What length of your hairs?
Sorry?
What length of your hairs?
Just enough to make a scarf.
Okay. And now you should choose the best question, and it definitely won't be a question about dreads, I think.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Perhaps about time, where to find time to write this all, because actually it's a pain point from time to time.
Okay. Thank you again. It was a nice talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.